Hi everyone, it's Layla here and I'm here with a video for a blanket that I want Anya to make me. So in the past few weeks Anya has made me watch Wednesday on Netflix quite a few times because she was working on a crochet blanket, and I thought I would really like to have a Wednesday inspired, so black and white, you know, that goes perfectly with my coat blanket to go on my bed. So instructions were sent, and yes, look at this, a blanket was made. I really love the blanket and I hope you will enjoy making it as well. So for this project I'm using Starcraft Special Aran, and it's a yarn prescribed for a 5mm hook, but I am using my 4.5 because of my tension. So just see which one would be best for your tension, 4.5 or 5 or even 5.5. So I'm using white and of course black as well, and I have my scissors, my darning needle, and then here I already have some ready-made squares. So these are the squares that we are going to be making for the blanket. So just the starting center of the square, and then we will already be joining with a continuous join in the black. So I will be showing you in a moment how to make this one, and then of course how to join. So let me show you how to make the little square that we are going to be using. So make your slip knot, insert your hook, and we are going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then you go back to the first chain that you did, you insert your hook into that chain, you bring back the working yarn through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. You now have a center. The end, I always try and take that along so we can close up that little hole later on. So do a chain of 2. Then we yarn over, insert into the circle and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And we do that again for a second double crochet. So this first chain will count as our first double crochet. Then we do 2 more. Then you are going to do a chain 2, and then again into the circle we are going to be placing 3 double crochets. So yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And this is what you will repeat 3 times, so until you have 3 double crochets, and then we do 2 chains. Then once again into that same circle we are going to place 3 double crochets. So we are making 4 clusters of 3 double crochets each time with 2 chains in between. So now, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, I'm already working on my 4th cluster. I have already done 1, 2, 3 corners of 2 chains each. So now all I have to do is 1, 2 chains, and I have to close the round, or even I have to finish the square. So here we're going to skip those 2, go under this V here, so pick up both the strands, bring back the yarn, and then bring back that yarn through the loop on your hook, and this way it makes a nice closure for your square, and it just makes a V on top of that chain there. Now we are going to cut off the yarn, pull out the loop, and now we're going to do a invisible weave-in. So you're going to skip this one here, go under this V there, bring the yarn that you've just snipped off to go through that V with your hook. There we go. And then go back to where that strand is coming out of this stitch here. Put your hook through that and then you bring the yarn through that stitch there. And as you can see, look, we've just recreated another V, and you can't tell which stitch it was. So now we have our square that we need for this project. You have taken along hopefully the middle one here, and look, if I pull it, it closes up nicely like that. So now, of course, we have to sew in these ends. So these are the squares we are going to be using in this project, and I am sure that if Wednesday were to like crochet, I mean, it did save her life in one of the episodes, she would approve of this blanket. So there we go. That's the squares that we are making. We're going to put them together in a configuration of 5 by 7, and yeah, we'll be using black for that because of course that is then the main color. So I have made 35 of my squares, and indeed this is the square that we will be using for this blanket. So I'm going to be putting them together in a configuration of 7 by 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is the front, and 7. And so I'm going to do 5 rows like that. And I'm going to be using the continuous join method to join these. And of course, because we only have a very small square, it will be quite a quick process, I can imagine. So I'm going to be doing this according to my techniques video, which I made a couple of months ago, and I shall link it here so you can go and find out. I'm just going to get started together with you and see how far we get. Now we are going to be using the black. There we go. I still have my 4.5 hook, and I'm going to get started with this one here, and we get started here with a slip knot. Insert your hook, and we're going to do half a corner. So that means you go into the corner chain space, you yarn over, ready for a standing double crochet. There we go. So that's 1, 2 and 3 double crochets, because our corners are made up of 3 double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. But of course here we have to start with half a corner. We will finish it when we have done all our blanket. That's the way the continuous join method works. And now we are going to do the next corner, of course, because that's where we're at this small square that we are using. So 3 double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. And then, of course, we work down the side, but the side is nothing because, of course, we are only making corners yet. So we will be doing half a corner here. So 3 double crochets. There we go. Right, then for my technique of the continuous join, we do a chain, and then we are going to take the next one here, and we start doing our corner on there. So 3 double crochets. Voila, that's it. And now we link it into the previous square. So we go in between the 2 clusters, bring up the yarn and do a slip stitch. And I know it's black, but there we go. I hope you can see it. If not, please do go to that other video that I was talking about. That is not black. So in the next corner we do 3 double crochets. Then we do a corner, but that means we do 1 chain. Then you go over to the corner chain space on the other square. You bring round the yarn and you do a slip stitch. Then you do your chain, and then you do your 3 double crochets. So in between the chains of the corner we have to attach, of course. There we go. So now we have attached, see? And now we do the same thing as before. So we do the corner here and then half a corner at the base. And then we are on to adhering the third little square already. So keep going like this until you have finished your first row of squares. There we go, look at that. So now I will keep on going with these, and I do exactly the same as I did here. So starting with a chain, adhering this side, finishing that side. I will meet you when I am here. So I have made it to the left hand corner of my last square here. So I have done all of this. So here now you are going to finish the corner. So chain 2, 1, 2, and then do your 3 double crochets to start doing the whole of the side here. So you're going to now travel all along to the end, to here, okay? And here you have to complete the corner. So we've completed this corner as a normal corner. Then here we are going to add 3 double crochets. Then you do a chain, and then remember here we did a chain, so you're just going to go in between here, use that space that we created with that chain and do your slip stitch. Then you chain, and then you do 3 more double crochets in the next chain space there. See, and now we have completed that square. So now we are going to just continue all along, and I'll meet you right here. So I have made it to the end of my row like this. So we have done here only the 3 double crochets for a corner. So you start by doing a chain, then you take your next square and you're going to get started there, same way as we did before, with just the 3 double crochets. Okay, now instead of just continuing for our 2 sides here, we need to also adhere this time to the top as well. So we're just going to, each time after you have done a cluster, you will have to make sure you attach it to something that's adjacent. So now I'm doing the corner. So I've done my 3 double crochets for the corner, 1 chain, and then you go to the corners here. I don't know whether you can see that. Yeah, there we go. So you've got 3 possibilities here. I always go diagonally. So I go into the chain space of this square, and then when I do this one here, I go into the chain space of the first square. So I bring up the yarn, do a slip stitch, and then I do a chain, and then I do the rest of the corner. And then of course the next little cluster that you do, that will be fine because there's nothing to adhere that to. But of course the moment you will be doing your second one of your row here, you will be also adhering that to this one here. Okay, so there we go. So that's where we're at now. Now we do a chain 1, and then you just grab your next one and you start doing your clusters and you link them in. Like I said, I have a better tutorial for this because I think the black is not going to be all that friendly for you to see what I am doing. But there you go. I had to use black because of course that's Wednesday's colours, isn't it? So here we go. So here I have the chain space of that square there, the diagonal one. That's where I'm going to go into. And doing that just brings it all together a little bit better and ties the blanket together. There we go. Voila. And of course here now I have that top to be working in. So this is what you will be doing for most of the blanket now. So when you get to the end of your second row here, you will be doing the whole row back like we did earlier. And then off you go again, doing the next lot. And you keep doing that until all your little squares are used up. And in the meantime, I have lost my 5x7 configuration, but because I've done the first row, you will know when to stop, of course, because you'll have this one done. So I will see you now when you are at the final square, at the final end here, when you are doing that 3 double crochets here, and then you'll be ready to do the side, and that will be it. So I will show you how to do the side to finish your blanket. So I have made it all along my base row here, and I have just done my 3 double crochets there. So now I'm just going to continue here with doing my chain 2 and another 3 double crochets into that same chain space here to make a corner. There we go. And so all that remains now is to go along the short side here, the one that we haven't touched yet. So we are doing the same thing really as in that lower line, just doing your 3 double crochet clusters, chaining, going into here, doing a slip stitch, chain, and you are already working on your next square, or finishing the next corner really, because that is what we are doing. So now we are finishing these corners, and I will meet you at the end of the row. Just done my last cluster here, and so we just need to complete this corner. So 2 chains, then you go over to the cluster where you started. This is a standing stitch, closes up for me, so I go under the next V here and I do a slip stitch. There we go. And now I am going to do a border. I'm just going to continue in the black, and I'm going to do a couple of rounds of half double crochets just so that it's a nice border. So you chain up 2 and you find the V's, which on camera is even harder than in real life, but I have to say, working with black, it's not too bad. I have found it quite okay actually, but I have to admit you can't really tell much. Even in my viewfinder, it's difficult to see. So for the border, place your half double crochets under the V's of the stitches. I know it's hard to see, but in real life it will be easier to see. When you get to the join here, you have the chain space of this square, the chain space of the next square, and the join. So I'm going to suggest you place a half double crochet into this chain space, skip the join, and then go straight to the other chain space and place 1 there. And then you continue with doing your half double crochets under the V's. And to me that was plenty of stitches. You know what I always say for a border, less is more. And when you get to the corner, you're going to do 3 half double crochets, 1 chain, and 3 half double crochets. If I do 2 chains, it becomes too pointy, but that's all up to you. So if you find it's too round, then please do put 2 chains. And then I continue doing my half double crochets. I will meet you at the end of the round. So I've just finished my round. The corner here was the last thing I had to do. So then off to that chain, we're going to skip that one, go under the V there, and we're going to close the round by doing a slip stitch. There we go. And then we do the same thing again. We are going to chain up, so 1 or 2 depending on how high your half double crochet is, and then we're going to be placing our half double crochets just into the V's of the stitches below. And in the chain 1 spaces, we will be making corners from now on, consisting of 2 half double crochets, 1 chain and 2 half double crochets. So I ended up doing 3 rounds of half double crochets for my border. Of course, I have made this blanket in Aran, and I made it to Layla's blanket size. But if you were to use this technique of making the little square and then joining them in a continuous join for a bigger blanket, you will need to make a lot more little squares, and joining them will take a lot more time. But I wish you good luck, and I do hope that you will try it out. So making it bigger in Aran will require you to make more squares, of course, but also making it in DK will require you to make even more little squares, and it will take even more joining to obtain the size that you need in DK, of course. So I wanted to try out this technique. I do hope you will try it, and imagine making it in colors. That would be nice as well, having the lots of colors for the little squares and then one joining color. I know Wednesday would not approve, but you know, it's the technique that counts here. So I do hope this video has given you a technique to try out, and do let me know, do show me if you decide to go for a bigger version of this. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!